would be after this that I address Ruby's old friends. Because this is where Weiss and Ruby have the argument again. Again, it did feel a bit forced in the fact that Weiss and Ruby seemed to get along again while fighting the Grimm, and then all of a sudden they fall out again.
I think that was like the first big instance of, oh god, the episode length and the amount of episodes this volume has is starting to affect the narrative.
Yeah.
Especially since we don't know how long it's been since the initiation.
Well, it is proven to be just the next day. Because that episode begins with Weiss waking up and Ruby being all spotted saying, "Good morning, Team Ruby. We still need to unpack and everything," and they're sorting out the room. So it's clearly just the next day.
Yeah, and I think this is where we needed a little bit more time, not just to obviously help the flow of Weiss looking like she's gonna try and put some effort in, and obviously the first strain of that, but also some signs of seeing more of Ruby trying to be a leader, but also not really grasping the full weight of it yet. That would flow into it afterwards, and then even then, I would say that we don't get to see Ruby the leader until I wouldn't even argue the end of the volume.
Yeah, I really get into that. Like we don't really see Ruby acting as a leader until really volume 2 again.
With the food fight.
Kinda, yeah. But I would say that, like, so Ruby and Weiss have their falling out. It's like I can kind of understand why Weiss would get a bit angry, because obviously she wanted to be the leader.
Yeah, and she's very regimented, while
so it's
Ruby's
like I
the
can
freewheel.
Like she even says it's like, well they do kind of address it in the case of like they do know how to work together, but Weiss even says, "I don't want to be on a team led by you."
And they Paul also mentioned that it's only been like one day under Ruby. Everyone's still learning, everyone's still gotta grow.
Yeah.
Even Weiss needs to grow, and that's something that she does understand. So they accept the fact that it's such a sudden time point from the initiation, but we needed a bit more time. We needed something to help Weiss's change of emotions, and again, maybe even the letter from Ruby's friends could have helped build up her confidence a bit.
Yeah, that is basically what I was getting into. Is like, because she does have that. Ruby does have that little talk with Ozpin, right? Where she's going like, "What, did you make a mistake? Or what? Am I a good leader?" And Ozpin does kind of comfort her, but I do get the feeling that it would have been nice if Ozpin had. If maybe like the reason Ozpin's just walking by is because he happened to notice that Ruby has this letter, and he's just handing her this letter, and it is from her old friends saying like, you know, how they're so proud of her, like they can't believe that she's doing this.
And I think that would have also helped like give a bit more weight to Ruby needing a bit more confidence, because it's not just coming from the mysterious headmaster who seems to have a bit of an eye on Ruby as a person herself.
Yeah.
But we also see that there's other people who thinks that she can do it, and that's people who actually have a bit more natural weight to them.
Yeah. And yeah, so
which also helps with Ruby later on when she's helping out Jean.
Yeah. So I just think like getting that letter there, so that boosts her confidence again, and pushes her desire to be a good leader. That's what makes her want to start improving. With Weiss, it is the case of I feel like she does need to try and realize it on her own. So again, in the story, I feel like with Weiss, it does kind of work a bit more with her just talking to Paul and figuring things out on her own.
And she's obviously like separated from a lot of things, so she doesn't really have a lot of other connections to go to. So
yeah,
that's a bit more fair.
Yeah, but with Ruby, she needs these connections. She needs to know that she's doing a good job. So I think getting the reply from her old friends, even though, again, when you think about it, it would have been only about 1 or 2 days
Mm.
since she sent them that letter. But again, I feel like it could still work.
Yeah, and it at least like uses the established Ruby's friends as some element, even if
Yeah.
it's just for this one small scene that overall won't matter too much.
Yeah, and really, I would want this to transition into basically a whole new, more or less, episode to be fit into this point.
On them actually making the effort.
Yes.
Exactly.
And because I kind of feel like at this point they have the perfect opportunity to do a story which is about Ruby attempting to get to know each of the other members of Team Ruby, as well as how they do maintenance on their weapons.
Yeah, I can see that work.
Because Ruby is established to be a weapons nut.
Yeah,
She
and
built,
that is something that we don't see a lot of.
Yeah, she built Crescent Rose. So surely she must be so interested in learning how her other teammates' weapons work, how they're maintained and stuff like that. She needs to know everything about them.
And I think we did need one more Ruby focused episode to see like the bond that could start to grow that we would later see in the latter events, because that also plays into the dissension. But of course we didn't get that time because we got to also focus on other stuff.
Yeah.
And again, that's the trouble with the episode lengths.
Yeah. So I just think having this bit where they're just learning about, where Ruby's really trying to just learn about everyone. Everybody could still be fairly secretive, and it's more focused on the weapons and why Ruby just wanting to know how they work and what everybody can do. Because granted, we do know what everybody's semblance is
for the most part.
Of Team Ruby. We know everybody's semblance. So it wouldn't be any shock, but it would be nice to see Ruby learning what those are herself.
And it could have also helped see a casual Team Ruby a bit more united. Because of course we didn't see that from after the initiation to, again, the dissension. We didn't see a casual united Ruby until it's been tested, which kind of lacks the punch with that.
So I just kind of feel like having learning about the weapons, but also using that knowledge to start coming up with team attacks.
Yeah.
As they begin to practice and work together as a team. So you just get to start to see the formation of what we then see really in action in volumes 2 and 3.
And it gives a bit more clarity on some of the abilities that these guys have.
Yeah. Again, you don't need to truly show off everything. Just let it be seen that Ruby is putting in the effort.
The breadcrumbs of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would also use this bit to introduce the scrolls. Because in the series as it currently stands, the scrolls are introduced in the fight between Jean and Cardin.
Yeah.
Like they have their little fights, and that's where they introduce the scrolls. I don't think that flows naturally.
No. Well,
I'll get into that scene again in a bit, but I just feel like
there was also that
like having
and Ozpin scrolls.
Yeah, but they really do establish the scrolls better in that fight scene. But I feel like they could do a much better job here by having like Ruby using it to come up with the team attacks and stuff like that, and just trying to build the ideas up.
Yeah.
But I'd also have this go on, like show that there is a transition of time like this. They have been practicing for at least several weeks.
Yeah.
Before they feel like they're ready. They've become a better team now. because one thing which really bugged me is the fact that it basically goes from the events of Badge and the Burden, which is again the day after the team has been formed, to several weeks later with the beginning of the Jean bully arc.
Which does hurt when we're still trying to introduce these characters, and we end up missing a lot of their early periods.
Yeah. So it's like you've apparently jumped ahead several weeks with nothing to show for it. And that's why I feel like this idea of just having everybody learn, the rest of Team RWBY just learning about one another, at least how they fight and everything, can better transition the weeks. It shows that they've been practicing. Shows that RWBY's basically. It could show that RWBY is actually focusing more on her studies as well. So it just better flows naturally into the Jean bully arc. Speaking of which,
oh boy,
here we go. I would drop that entire first fight between Jean and Cardin, where they again introduce the scrolls.
Yeah.
Because my God, when you really watch it, that scene feels so unnatural. It completely disrupts the flow. Because we've gone from, because in the series right now it goes from RWBY in her bed, feeling a bit happy that Weiss is starting to work with her, into Jean and Cardin fighting. It feels very unnatural, and then as soon as that scene ends, we go straight to a close-up of Nora's eyes as she's telling that story in the lunchroom, and you kind of realise that entire fight doesn't contribute anything.
And if I'm right, I think that's like the really, really short episode, ain't it? Where it's just that scene, and then the stuff in the kitchen where we see Cardin being a dick, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Not really a lot of... Again, enough to establish, Cardin's a bully, Jean's getting picked on, he's also picking on foreigners, that shows a bit of the racism issue, but not really enough to add weight to a whole episode.
Yeah. But I just feel like if you remove that fight scene, and you might say, well, they use that fight scene to show that they can use their scrolls to show their health or their aura levels. But again, RWBY could do that in the training.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. They could introduce that there. But at the same time, they also use that fight scene to give us that first little glimpse of the fact that the tournament is coming up. They allude to that, even though we don't see the tournament until Volume 3.
Yeah, the longest festival ever.
Yeah, so it feels way too soon to be introducing that. Plus, it's the case that they introduce the festival again at the end of the volume.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that we gain from the festival being revealed now is, we got a festival coming, and this is why we get Sun. But that's right at the end. It's not really enough to really warrant having the festival mentioned now, when it's going to be mentioned again in Volume 2.
Yeah, but it is like, I can kind of understand them mentioning the festival at the end of the volume, but during that fight scene, makes no sense.
And it doesn't really add anything to the fight.
Yeah, it doesn't add anything. It doesn't contribute anything. And again, if you remove that scene, and you basically go from, even whether or not you introduced what that training episode I was thinking of, or not. So even if they don't get that scene, it goes from RWBY talking about, being happy that Weiss is about to work with her. We get a few seconds of black screen, and then it cuts to
Nora's eyes.
Yeah, Nora recounting this dream. which honestly does feel way more natural than that having that fight scene.
Because it's also still having Team RWBY involved, but it's flowing into Team Juniper, which would be the next focus.
Yeah, exactly. It makes the flow more natural. Plus, it is Nora talking about a dream, so it kind of feels since again the scene of Ruby and Weiss was set at night while everybody was sleeping. You kind of get the feeling that this is Nora recounting the dream she had that night.
Yeah.
And it's just a very funny transition. It works a lot better without the fight scene, because the fight is counted as fairly serious. To go from like this quite upbeat scene between Ruby and Weiss to
Jean getting decimated.
It disrupts the flow, and you get it's tonal whiplash.
Yeah,
all over the place.
Very positive signs of bright future. Oh god, this guy's getting his butt whipped.
And then instantly to a very comedic scene of Nora recounting a story.
Which obviously it makes sense, because the start of this arc is very negative, but it is a bit of a tonal whiplash, yeah.
Yeah, so remove the fight scene, and you have a very positive ending scene joining up to a very comedic start of a scene. Works better. But again, in that lunchroom scene, they do establish that Cardin has been bullying Jean for weeks.
And we see examples of that as well.
Yeah, we do see examples, but I would also add extra scenes throughout the volume. So there wouldn't be flashbacks, we'd see them as they were happening, of Cardin picking on Jean. So I'd basically say, like, at the start of the volume, when everybody's on the boat, everybody's on the ship heading towards Beacon.
Yeah.
Have that be where Jean and Cardin first meet. Have the first little breadcrumb of that plot.
Like, probably Jean accidentally pukes up on Cardin, or some of it gets on him, or he bumps into him. That at least gives a bit more reason of why Cardin is picking on Jean instead of him just being a scrawny guy.
Yeah.
Because we know why he's picking on Velvet, because racism there.
Yeah.
We don't know why he's picking on Jean, other than just, oh, I'm big, you're small.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think having that scene where they're on the boats, just first establishing it, then really when Jean comes zooming out of the ship and throws up into the bin, have Cardin walk out and then push him over,
or just laugh at him or something like that.
Yeah,
it gives a bit more weight to him why he's a bully, instead of just being, oh, I'm just gonna pick on you because for the lols. Which again makes it a bit of a very cookie cutter bully story.
Yeah, but it's a case of just sprinkle in little tiny bits that Cardin is picking on Jean throughout the volume up until this point. You can still have the flashbacks to show more of this.
Yeah.
But
something a bit more weight than just the jock and the runt.
Yeah. And it just makes it feel like it's not being fully it's not just being established right now for dramatic purposes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know this is because they had no real idea what was going on with Velvet. But given what we know about Velvet now, why is she putting up with Cardin's bullying?
I want to say, why is none of Team RWBY or Team Juniper going to help out?
Well,
because we see RWBY is someone who wants to fight for everyone, and Pierre is a very honourable person. So is obviously Blake, all the others, and obviously, you don't want to cause any kind of issue that would get you in trouble at school, but this is supposed to be everyone united forever, and it just feels a bit weird that you're not really defending them. you hate the thing going on, but you're not really doing anything against it.
Yeah, I mean, but the biggest thing that bothers me about Velvet in that scene, and really Velvet's entire appearance in Volume 1. I mean, I love Velvet. She's actually one of my favourite characters.
She's my best girl, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah. But, again, with everything that we know about Velvet from Volumes 2 onwards, in Volume 2, they reveal that Velvet is at least 1 year above everybody else.
Yes.
So, why is she putting up with Cardan's bullying? Also, where is the rest of Team Coffee?
And again, obviously, this is the fact that we don't know. They didn't know that Velvet was going to be such a well-appreciated character.
Yeah.
But it felt a bit weird to create this character just to be in a punching bag. Because if Velvet wasn't going to be appreciated like she ended up being, she would have been another background character with a distinct model, with a distinct purpose, that really just... It feels more like a item of service for the plot rather than a character.
And at the same time, again, Volume 2, Velvet establishes a year above everyone. So why in Volume 1 is she in the same class as the first years?
I do think that could have been at least something that we could have seen, obviously going into Volumes 2 and 3 and beyond. Even just a brief mention of why Velvet would not want to fight someone who's going up against it, because that also could help the racial issue.
Well, the way I'd address at least the scene in the lunchroom is have hoping I'm getting the name right. Having Yatsuhashi
you got it.
Yeah, having him appear and just like get Velvet away from Cardan, so that at least then she is being saved by someone. Because even in Volume 2, they kind of established that Yatsuhashi is looking out for her.
And I'm sure the rest of that would probably, if this would be a case where Volume 1 would get remade or expanded on, that obviously would be something that would be developed because of future hindsight.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't... It's still with the scene of the classroom. Why is Velvet there? I mean, again, for Volume 1, as we're watching it, makes sense. But with everything that we know about Velvet going forward, it makes no sense for her to be there.
Yeah. just again to show, Cardan's being racist again. And again, hindsight is 2020, so you can't really fairly judge it in that sense.
Yeah. So I'd remove her from the classroom and just have like a few other shadow faunus be there, raising their hands and everything, saying that they're being picked on and stuff like that. Velvet doesn't need to be in the classroom.
Though I'm glad she did.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love Velvet. I loved her in that scene. It's made me fall for her. But again, if the series to be remade, it wouldn't make any sense.
It's
for
not
it to be there.
It would be something that's not so much a real issue, but it could be something that would be expanded on.
Yeah. It's like with Velvet, all we really need to see is the scene in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
Because again, it also could slightly introduce Team Coffee. Again, just to expand what we know so far.
Yeah.
Show that there are other teams besides Team RWBY and Team Juniper.
Yeah.
But really, this is where we get into the big part of the bully arc. And I'm going to say this: drop the whole blackmail angle in the bully arc. Now, because honestly, when Volume 1 was still being shown, during the Jean bully arc, I was seriously about to drop the series.
Oh, really?
It got that bad. Because I didn't care about Jean. at that point, I didn't care about him. I wanted to know more about Team RWBY. It's like other volumes, I didn't mind, but in Volume 1, I did not care.
I think they could have done with a bit more to show why we should care about Jean, to then why we should care about him being picked on.
Yeah.
Again,
but
episode length, volume length.
Yeah, it was the case of they were focusing more. I felt like they were focusing more on Team Juniper than Team RWBY, even though the series is called RWBY.
Yeah, and again, that it was a bit more fair in that sense because they're trying to establish other characters that they couldn't in the trailers. Again, it just needed a bit more of an expansion on that.
Yeah, but it is the case of rewatching it now. I do like the idea that Jean cheated his way into the school. It is a bit of character development for him.
Yeah, it shows how drastic he would go just to achieve his dream.
Yeah, I mean, granted, they have, besides this story, they haven't done anything with that.
And I don't think they will now because of obviously what ends up happening.
Yeah, so it kind of makes you question what was the point of it in the first place. But again, it's like at that point, okay, I like that, and I like that he's telling this to Pyrrha.
Yeah.
And I just like the idea that it is that really, instead of having it Cardin over here and then using that as blackmail material to basically turn Jean into his lackey, really, and do all these horrible things, because I hated that. That's what really bothered me. I feel like instead of doing that, have it be more the case of Jean is getting tired. I mean, they even do this in the story as it is, that Jean is getting tired of being the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
He even calls himself that. That he's getting annoyed with doing that. And I feel like really the story, instead of it being just a generic bully blackmail story, have it be more that Jean is he's fed up with being picked on. And he basically argues with Pyrrha about this. You know, Pyrrha's just trying to be helpful. She wants to help him, but he's rejecting it, saying, I've got to do this myself.
Yeah.
I've got to prove myself that he can stand up for himself, and he's basically picking Cardin as what he's going to focus on.
You could still have like Cardin being around, obviously during the stuff in the forest where Cardin's probably going to be trying to do some more antics, but you could probably obviously just remove the blackmail stuff and just have it like Jean is using this moment to be brave, to stand up, and to make his own action.
Yeah, he's trying to act on his own. He's trying to prove that he can do this, but at the same time, all he's doing is fighting fire with fire, because he's going to basically, he wants to beat up Cardin. It's like, you beat up me, I beat up you. That's what he wants to do. But obviously Pyrrha doesn't want him to go ahead with this.
And obviously Pyrrha by this point understands why Jean wants to do this alone, at least for now, to rebuild his confidence. And that's why obviously she lets him have this. Obviously with a little leeway to not get him killed, but enough to help him out.
But it's a case of just figure out, it's like they have their little arguments on the roof, and after that Jean, he still wants to do this. He still wants to get Cardin back. But at the same time, he feels guilty for what he's just, that he's just shouted at someone who's just trying to help.
Yeah.
So he starts to avoid the rest of the other members of Team Juniper.
And you can still have like a bit of awkwardness as well. Like
Yeah, I mean,
The awkwardness of having a disagreement.
yeah, and so it's like he starts to keep his distance, which again, if you watch the story, that is what's happening.
Mm.
And if you just remove like a few references to Cardin, then it's like this scene writes itself.
It's still a case. It's still a case of Jean doesn't want to be always depending on others, but in the same sense, he does need support to at least help him get to that position.
Yeah, and that's what the talk with Ruby could do. I mean, that's what the talk with Ruby already does. It's basically saying to Jean, it's like, we have teams now.
Yeah,
we have friends. You have to rely on them.
You've got your personal goal, but you've also got the goal that you've now got as a huntsman, as a team member, something that is played into the stuff in Volume 2 with Weiss, Blake, and Yang.
Yeah, and it is the case of having that scene with Ruby and Jean just talk about, we are leaders, we've got friends, we've got to start acting like it. But it's the case of Jean first thinks that he's still got to do this. He's still got to try and prove himself. He's now wavering on it, and he feels really guilty, but he's still determined to do it. And then we get into everything in the forest. That Cardin is going to. Right, we don't even have to have Jean pick those bees or whatever they were.
No, it could just be like rapier wasp thing.
Yeah, that's it.
It could be Cardin doing it and still trying to attack like Pyrrha and that for one-upping him and that.
Yeah, for one-upping him in the class.
But then it's a case of not only Jean standing up against the person who's bullying him, and we've seen him struggle with that, but it's also a case of him finally getting past a struggle of he can feel like he can do this.
But I know, but it is really the case of it'd be the case we see Cardin about to attack Pyrrha, and Jean kind of realizes like, wow, I am actually doing this for really selfish reasons. It's like right now, all he was thinking of was himself, and now one of his friends is in danger.
But also show that he's also still out of his league in a bit, because that also helps in the fact that he still needs to be trained by Pyrrha.
I'd still have it be like, just like Cardin is about to attack Pyrrha when Jean is about to attack him. But just as he's kind of wavering a bit and like realizing that he's doing this for selfish reasons, the rest of Team Cardinal jump him. They capture him and they're just about to beat him up. That's when the Ursa appears,
and you get the chain of events there.
Yeah, and the rest of the events play out the same.
Yeah, I definitely agree that you could take out the blackmail issue there, and you could still get the same goal, and you still get some of the key events, but you could still rework it a bit better to help develop.
It's basically the case of push Team Cardinal more to the sideline.
Yeah.
Because they are not important.
Yeah,
they're not.
They won't be after this.
No. So really, because as they are currently in the story, they're kind of pulled into more of the focus when they really don't need to be.
They get a bit more screen time in some sense. Obviously not true development or insight, but they get a bit more screen time than Ren and Nora, who are going to be key characters far moved on.
Yeah. So I think doing it this way, you're dropping the angle, focusing more on Jean's feelings towards, doing things on his own.
But you still get Team Cardinal's actual use.
Yeah, you still get Team Cardinal's actual use. You still get the revelation that Jean has at the end. Don't hurt my friends. And you still see that Cardin, is going to back off. He knows, you can see how strong Jean is.
Or at least he's willing to stand up to him, and he owes him.
Yeah. So I feel like that would improve the bully arc. Because after that, normally it transitions straight into the final story,
Yeah.
which again feels a bit unnatural because it's kind of
Jumped straight from a Team Juniper focused arc, nothing really connecting that into more of Team RWBY, who are already feeling a much stronger unit together, obviously for whatever happens.
Yeah. So I would instead have this transition to another brand new chapter, which is focusing on Yang.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that.
Yeah, because we hardly have anything related to Yang throughout the entire volume, so this would be the perfect opportunity. And I would have this be focusing more on kind of like the sisterly bond between RWBY and Yang.
I was thinking the same thing. I think you could build on that one moment in the Players and Pieces arc episode where you see Yang looking proud of RWBY.
Yeah.
I think we could have a bit more of that, just seeing how she witnesses RWBY grow, so we can see more of that. But we can also see more of the bond and, of course, more of Yang.
Yeah. And what I'd kind of do it is I would have it be that Yang is getting several part-time jobs in order to raise some money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because let's face it, we don't know how on earth the students actually survive at Beacon. Like, how do they get their supplies? Where do they buy all their stuff? Well, how do they get the money to buy stuff?
From Jack.
Yeah. But where do they get the money?
Yeah, no, I see that.
But that's what I mean. It's like, so having, and it also better establishes, it establishes the area. We get to know more about Vale.
Yeah.
And we get to see Yang just doing all these part-time jobs, in order to buy a small gift for RWBY to celebrate her getting better grades lately. And
I can see that.
Yeah, it shows that Yang cares about RWBY, and is really proud that she's getting she is improving.
We can even see we can even have like Blake join Yang, so we can see their partnership working together, like maybe trying to get some advice on what to get, or at least a good landscape of the area, because we don't know
a little bit. Yeah,
we don't know how much Yang knows of Vale.
Yeah, because I'd want this to focus more on the characters' regular everyday life rather than their school life.
Yeah, because that's stuff we have seen in different works, school life.
Yeah, because we've seen their school life throughout the entire volume. So it's like, what do they do on their off time? And I feel like this would be the best opportunity to do it.
That could work, and then it flows naturally from Juniper, this final arc.
Yeah, it shows a bit more of the casual side. I mean, hell, they could probably show them more in like more casual outfits. Cause it's like they had those outfits in Volume 2 and then they're never seen again.
That's a shame because they were really good. I love the design of them.
I love those outfits because they were more casual. And I'd love to see more opportunities of them wearing more casual outfits.
Yeah. Obviously, that's an animation stress.
Yeah.
But
because it's like in Volume 1. In Volume 1, we saw them either in their battle outfits, their school uniforms, or their pajamas. So it's like having casual outfits. It would just feel better.
That's something I liked in Soul Eater. There was a lot of instances where they were wearing casual clothes. Like I remember that basketball episode, they were wearing completely different outfits.
I mean, Soul Eater as a whole is a much better thing to look at as to how to improve RWBY, because there are a lot of similarities.
Yeah, and again, that and what I've recently watched for My Hero Academia, same sort of deal.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just I just want to see something focusing on Yang and their everyday life.
No, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So then we actually get into the final story, and really, to begin with, everything about that story isn't bad. it does flow quite nicely. Um, I do kind of wish like they'd done something better with the festival.
I would have liked to have seen a bit more of it starting to come in. Like, obviously, it's still early days until the main events of the festival.
Yeah,
But I would have liked a bit more to it than just, oh, we got a banner up and, oh, here comes some of the students.
yeah, because I mean, I kind of feel like this is more volumes, probably volume 2 rather than anything. But just in terms of the festival, I feel like really end of volume 1, that's when it should have been first introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just starting to prepare for it.
And at least in that sense, we know, oh, we're not going to get all of the festival stuff now because it's the final episode.
Yeah.
But we got an introduction, something to look forward to.
Then in volume 2, have it be, that's when the festival is in full swing.
Mm-hmm. And then we get the dance and all that.
Yeah. And then in volume 3, they close it out with the tournament.
Mm.
So it's basically, we have the entire festival is spread across the entire Beacon arc.
Mm.
And we get the idea that throughout volume 2 there is a bit of a party going on. There is a bit of a celebration in Vale.
Yeah.
So it just feels like, okay, so that's what it was building up to, and then we see the tournament in volume 3, so that's how they're closing it off.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but introducing it here makes sense.
Mm.
But really the first point I want to get into with the finale is when Weiss and Blake start arguing. Yeah. And it is a very small thing, because I mean, honestly, I don't mind that argument.
Mm.
It flows quite naturally, and it does transition into a lot of character development for both Weiss and Blake.
It's a very good argument. And it works for both characters, as we know of them. It feels natural, and of course it goes to the payoff.
Yeah. But the issue I have with that scene is Penny. Now, my problem with that is it's just that small little bit where when Yang says to Ruby, maybe we should move, maybe we should go, and Penny just pops up saying, where are we going?
Nowhere with you, because we don't see you at all.
It's funny, but after that, Penny just vanishes.
Mm.
And it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel right.
Because later instances of where we see Penny go away, it's a disappearance. We don't know where she goes.
Yeah.
And then here it's just, oh, we're just gonna jump cut.
Yeah, it just feels unnatural. So instead, again, it's more about the camera angles. That is one common thing. It's like a lot of this stuff could just be fixed with different angles.
Mm.
So instead, I'd say when Weiss and Blake are arguing, we have just a shot of Penny, Yang, and Ruby just standing next to each other. And we just see Yang turn to Ruby and said, you know, maybe we should go. And that's when Penny just turns and looks at him and saying, where are we going? It still feels unnatural. It feels like Penny's right there, but it's not. She's, rather than her just popping her head up and saying it, she just looks at them and says, where are we going? Like, even though it's clearly that Yang is talking to Ruby.
Yeah.
And not her.
More Penny being a bit socially awkward for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so you still get the laugh. But then we have a quick shot of so after that we have a quick shot of Weiss and Blake still arguing, and then it returns to the other three just still standing there watching, but the camera starts to slowly zoom in, so it's cutting Penny off.
Right.
So it just cuts in, so you only start to see Ruby and Yang. And after it's zoomed in enough, that's when it transitions to them in their room.
Yeah, then a bit more focus of like, okay, we're moving away from the stuff with Penny now. We're zooming in on Weiss and Blake.
Yeah, And I just feel like that would make it feel more natural.
Okay, yeah.
Rather than it making it seem as if they took Penny home with them.
If only.
Yeah. It just feels more natural. Like, it shows that Penny is no longer the focus of this scene.
Yeah. Instead of just thinking, oh wait, we got hit, but where's Penny?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with just the right camera angles. Now, one of the biggest ones that's seriously bugged me about this finale.
Oh, really?
Again, it's all about the time frame. Because they reveal that it has been months since the events of episode 1.
Yeah.
And it definitely doesn't feel like that, considering over half the series, half the story is over the span of like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, at least that's what it feels like, because we don't see, obviously there's no like timestamp or like the next day, so we're just going on what we're seeing. We go from day to night,
Yeah.
other than what we're getting told and like, oh, this is coming soon or this is happening right now. We don't really get a sense of, oh, this has been going on for a good couple of months, we're reaching the end of the semester.
Yeah,
this feels a bit weird.
There's just no idea. They just say, oh, it's been months. It's like, how? And that's why I was trying to add extra scenes to try and transition better the amount of time that's passed.
We get more than enough events to make it feel like, okay, this has been a bulky chain of events that have gone over a period of time that are long enough to feel necessary.
Yeah. So really with everything that I've kind of talked about before, that's what I want to establish as months. The amount of stuff that's happened there, almost their entire first semester has ended.
Yeah.
We're getting to the end of it. But there is another bit of time frame shenanigans.
I wonder if it's what I'm thinking of.
Probably is. Why is Blake missing for a whole weekend before they go out to look for her?
It's actually not what I'm thinking of, but I can see that.
Yeah, because I just feel like it doesn't flow naturally at all.
I think they're leaning on the aspect of thinking like, maybe we're thinking Team RWBY have waited for Blake to return back herself, but in that sense, you would have thought that they would have gone out to search for her the moment that they could.
Yeah, that's what bothers me, because it's the case of if you look at the chain of events that happen as they are, it makes no sense that they waited this long, because it's the case of Blake runs off, and we know this is at night. She reveals herself that she's a Faunus, and then immediately after the sun says, I knew you look better with the bow, without the bow, it cuts to Ruby waking up and noticing that Blake's not in her bed. And then it cuts directly to Ruby saying she's been gone all weekend.
Yeah, exactly. It almost feels like Ruby waking up and looking at the bed is a completely different day, or even just the same day. We don't get that clarity what we just seen.
It feels like, to me, it just feels like it would have been so much better if it was the case of, Blake runs off that night. Ruby wakes up hoping that when she wakes up, Blake will be in the bed. But she wakes up, sees that she's not there, and she just wants to go looking for her. It's like it shows that even though it has been months, they have bonded. That she wants to go and find her teammate.
Yeah.
So
there's obviously been that grace. No, you carry on.
Yeah, it just feels more natural that they just want to go and find her straight away, and it still feels like, because really, there's time shenanigans all over this ending. Because again, getting right to the end, remember what Weiss says when she meets up with Blake again? She says that she's been looking for it for 12 hours.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. I remember Jean Fawkes' CinemaSins version of RWBY. He called out on it as well. It has not been 12 hours.
Yeah.
That's either like a script thing or something that was initially put in but they forgot or something like that. But there's a complete mess going on in terms of the time span. We got a weekend, we got 12 hours, we got a clear passage of night to day to night again for the stuff at the docks. It doesn't pan out as it should, as it seems.
That's why having RWBY say that she's been gone all weekend makes no sense.
If that's taken out, it kind of feels a bit more natural.
Yeah, if you change it to saying that she's been gone all night, that flows better.
And change Weiss's comments to a more accurate time span, because it still goes from a night to day to night, so that's not 12 hours.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could basically say, well, they have been out looking for her for a whole day, so 12 hours does make sense in that context. Well, it's like they didn't start looking until that morning, so you can kind of get away with it.
It depends on, well, again, it's all the time span stuff, but the time span needed to be far more accurate than it was presented.
Yeah, but really having it be just one night rather than a weekend makes sense for the rest of Team RWBY wanting to go find her, but also it just seems more believable that Blake and Sun spent one night together rather than the whole weekend of her being silent
and then waiting until that time later on to finally say, so you want to know who I am? And some would probably be thinking like, well, yeah, I've been here for the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's like 2 whole days of just strange looks. It's like, how have you coped?
The patience of a saint.
Yeah, it's like, where if you were gone all weekend, where were you sleeping? Where?
Oh God, don't feed the shippers.
Oh come on, Black Sun is an actual thing.
We'll see. I'm not getting into that.
Yeah.
But again, it's another one of those things where the events don't match up to the time established.
Yeah. I just feel like one night, a few hours, works so much better for the whole flow of that scene.
Because it also makes it sound like they've waited days for Blake to finally have that cup of tea.
Yeah. And it maybe would have worked if it was a case of Blake just wants to be alone and Sun was just following her around.
But it's clearly established that they've gone from that to some time to chill.
Yeah. So having it just be one night
makes it much more sense.
Yeah, it just works way better. But again, getting into that, editing issues.
More of them.
Yeah. Removing the black screen in between the last 2 episodes. It goes from Blake saying, so you want to know more about me, to black screen, to Sun saying, finally, she speaks.
I noticed that as well when I was watching the Tug screening. It's like, so you want to know who I am? Well, you have to wait after this black screen. Okay, we're back.
Yeah. It's like, again, if it was redone just as a movie edit, works way better.
Yeah, it works for the episode, not for a full run.
Yeah. But then we come to the actual finale, the
bulk of it.
The final fight. And I just kind of feel like, as much as this was building up on a focus between Weiss and Blake, it's very clear that is what this final story is about.
Yeah.
Weiss contributes nothing to the final episode.
Nah. Just basically a sense of, does she accept Blake? Oh yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. It's not really a tried and true tested reply. She just accepts, which is fair. It's a good thing that she just says, I don't care. whatever happened. You got to be
Yeah,
here in the now. But it doesn't weigh up to, okay, we've been over 2 episodes for this.
Yeah, it's the case of with Blake, we've seen everything she's been going through. We know what she's doing. With Weiss, we just see her moping.
Yeah, we just see her trying to almost accept Blake as something that she's not. But we don't mentally or physically see her debating everything she's seen. We just see the end result.
It's very throughout the entire finale when Blake is not with them. Every time we cut back to Weiss and that lot, it just feels like Weiss doesn't care. It's like, and granted, she does say she doesn't care.
Yeah,
but
we don't know if she's not caring about Blake's past or Blake herself.
Yeah, it just feels because everything that she says is like she says, "Oh, Weiss is Blake's a big girl; she can look after herself."
Though I love the fact, in hindsight now, when Weiss says the innocent never run, and then we see Yang just moping. I just think, oh god, she's thinking about Raven, ain't she?
Yeah.
I think it was Murderer Birds who did a video on that, and it just that hits. But yeah, it did feel like we got enough out of Blake's struggle with trying to accept it, but we don't get Weiss.
It is because it is the case of Weiss does say the innocent don't wrong, so it seems like Weiss does feel like Blake is guilty of all this stuff,
and then in the end she just accepts. Well, even she guilty or not guilty, I don't care. Okay, then what were all those comments before? Yeah,
so really, where did that come from?
It felt like they were trying to build up to a sense of Weiss is gonna say, Blake, you're a bad person, but obviously it didn't end up that way. Yeah, it's just a tease of it.
It is. Yeah, it is the case of I just feel like it could have been done better, and. The way that I would have done it is the case of obviously when Roman sets off that explosion, which Ruby and Penny see, Weiss and Yang should have seen it as well.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah, so everyone should have been heading towards the docks. When they get there, it should have been the case of Yang instantly jumps in to help. She just jumps in to help, but Weiss stays back.
She's hesitant.
Yeah, she hesitates. Because she just sees Blake, fighting for all this stuff. She clearly sees that Blake is putting her all into this, and
she's fighting a known criminal. She needs help.
Yeah, she's fighting Roman. She's fighting the White Fang. So and just have Weiss just looking at this, just taking it in and thinking. She doesn't need to say anything. She just needs to look at what's going on and just. You can clearly see that gears are turning in her head. It's like she's thinking about what's going on and what Blake is now doing.
Yeah. I can see that, definitely.
And then when Blake gets a little bit beat up, and that's when Weiss just jumps in.
Even just to check on Blake and still have the stuff with Penny maybe, but at least we get to see Weiss is showing some sign of care, even if it does kind of already reveal what her general mindset is on Blake being a Faunus, and it at least shows some care.
Yeah, just keeping. I just say keeping this whole bit quiet. No dialogue.
Show don't tell.
Show don't tell. So it would be Weiss jumps in, saves Blake, and Blake just looks at Weiss, and Weiss just looks at her, and just with their glances, you can tell that Weiss no longer cares. Blake has proven that she's not working with the White Fang. She's trying to do what's right.
Yeah, and next time, depend on your fans because they will be there for you, even if it may seem a bit of a struggle at times.
It just feels like that Weiss no longer cares about that. Yeah. She just wants to help a friend.
Yeah, she doesn't care about the Blake in the past. She cares about the Blake in the now.
Yeah. And it's like you can still have the little bit after the fight where they do say like, you know, where Blake does say like,
at least give a
confirms
a bit of clarity in terms of words.
Yeah.
And still have the stuff with Sun.
Yeah. But it's the case of, in that moment, during the fight, have Weiss just come in and save it, and they just glance at one another, and that's where they fight alongside one another for a little bit. Then at the end, they probably have their little reconciliation.
Plus, it shows a bit more of that Team RWBY unity that we hadn't seen at that point. Show that they can be a bond together, not just in the dire need back in the forest, but they can work together to try and help each other out.
Yeah.
So we at least see a sign of progress.
And because I don't mind anything to do with Penny or Sun, because that's all awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But we just needed a bit more
on Weiss.
A bit more of Weiss coming to a realization and getting into the fight. Because, again, Weiss and Yang just turn up at the end. They don't do anything.
Which also hurts Yang.
Yeah. So having them turn up and fight,
contribute in any way.
Contributing at least a little bit works. It just makes that finale more
a grand finale for Team RWBY.
Yeah, it feels like they've come together.
We've seen RWBY being born, we've seen them struggle, we see them tested, and we've seen them united.
Yeah.
Which gives a good chain of events for them.
Yeah, and obviously it leads into Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the last big issue I would want addressing for the remake. So any other little minor bits that would be, I feel like, would just be like technical stuff that would be fixed anyway.
Though I probably would say maybe try to hide Penny's true identity a bit better, because I have a ton of reactions, and I've seen a lot of people say she's a robot. I think if they toned it down a bit more, the obvious reveal in Volume 2 could have had a bit more punch. But other than that, I think it's fine, and Penny was still fine.
I kind of feel like that was a bit of a problem just with Penny's colouring anyway, because it's like the neon green. A lot of people connect that. I know I definitely do with power, with electronics.
And I chalked it up more to her very stiff mannerisms, which is a bit of a contrast because later on in other volumes she moves a lot more freely, she moves like a human being, but she's on the floor, static in a complete pole stance. Her arms are very robotic. It could have hid that a bit more, and then just left her social tics as kind of small hints, but just leave a bit less of the physical side of it.
Yeah,
but it's still fine stuff, and it's an obvious reveal.
To me, it's not too much of an issue, because it's a case of we all guessed that Penny was a robot almost instantly, but to everybody in that world, I can understand why it would seem so weird. Because
we as the viewer have a ton of different mediums use androids, sentient robots, that kind of thing. But of course, in universe, Penny is the first of this kind, so maybe that thought process wouldn't come to pass.
Yeah. So having her just seem like a bit of a weird girl.
Yeah.
It just kind of, I feel like it's fine as is.
Yeah.
But granted, this was all for volume 1, and because I don't really feel like there's many things to address with Volume 2 onwards.
No, I think the only thing I would have said about Volume 2 is the finale needed a bit more, they've actually learned from what's just happened. Less brushing off of everything like a last incident. Because that was probably my one issue.
Yeah, because I kind of feel like Volume 2 and 4 are kind of the same in the regard that they don't really feel like they don't feel like they had proper finales. They just had an event which was turned into a finale.
Yeah, I said in my reviews that some of the arcs in Volume 4 didn't need a finale, and of course with the split roads, that obviously works for that. In Volume 2, it hurt because it was clearly built up to something that would be a huge chain of event for some of the characters. They witnessed something that they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop people getting hurt, and yet afterwards it's just they brush it off like, oh, we just stop a bunch of Grimm. That's it. That's probably the lasting issue of Volume 2. But other than that, I think as the volumes went on, there was definitely a lot of improvements, and I think they definitely did learn from Volume 1.
Yeah, I mean, just with Volume 2, because I do have a little bonus point, and it's actually right at the start of Volume 2.
Right.
Granted, I kind of feel like that if they were to go with what I suggested with the festival, have the actual main part of the festival going on throughout Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you see whenever characters are walking the streets, there is like stalls and
carnival stalls and all the food. But you still get like it flows naturally into the dance, and then you get the main event. So you can have Volume 2 as like in the introduction of the festival.
Yeah,
the opening ceremonies.
But there's something that Roman says at the start of Volume 2 which really bugs me.
Right.
And it's the case of Roman says that he has the town running scared. And, he says like dust prices are through the roof. There's police posts at every corner. Where did we see that? Even just earlier in that episode, we see Mercury and Emerald just walking the streets, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Everything's normal.
I would have also said that we could have had a bit of at least a small mention of the fact that maybe some of the students are having issues with the lack of dust, because Roman also said that we've took every single speck of dust in the kingdom. Obviously, that's not the case, because obviously some of these guys still fight with dust, but at least show that there's a shortage.
Yeah, I mean, because it is the case of that whole angle. The whole reason Roman was doing all this stuff, why? Why did they do all that?
Because it went up to Volume 2 with the, obviously, attempt to break into Vale through the tunnels. And the fact that that event gets brushed aside, it also means that a lot of Roman's actions got brushed aside as well. And the fact that none of the guys took on any experiences.
Yeah, because it's like the whole dust issue contributes nothing to what was going on throughout the rest of Volumes 2 and 3. It doesn't change anything. They could have easily had an issue where Weiss is running low on dust for a weapon.
Especially Weiss, because she is not only the matriarch of the dust business, but she's a very heavy dust user.
Yeah.
So even just a small mention of like she's had to pay more for dust, or she has to use less dust, or use more rare dust that she wouldn't use in such a situation, but because of her shortage, she has to. At least something that shows that there is weight to some of the actions that have already taken place before leading up to the payoff.
Yeah. So, to be fair, there wasn't really any payoff whatsoever for that.
No.
It's just like...
Because
in Volume 3, they don't even bring it up.
And that's the thing, the fact it was a breach of the kingdom. We had something coming from the outside the kingdom break through to inside, where we obviously expect people to get killed or hurt, but we don't see any of that. Whereas when we see it in Volume 3, we do see that there's people who have suffered, who have hurt, who are dying.
Yeah, it's like they very easily could have had it in Volume 3 where the dust has run out. Like during the massive attack on Beacon, on everything that happens, that's when everybody's dust runs out.
And that could have at least explained perhaps why Winter came in, because she could have also brought in some excess dust from Atlas.
Yeah.
Because that at least addresses that issue, but it also helps bring in a bit more reasoning there. So but it,
Yeah,
it just gives a bit more weight to some of the actions in Volume 2, which again led to probably the biggest issue of that volume.
yeah. Now, before we really finish, I feel like this is probably the only opportunity I'll get to say it, but do you have any ideas for RWBY Chibi segments?
Oh god, I want to say I have, but I've not really thought about it. The one thing I wanted that sadly we didn't get, I wanted Neo to be the shortest character, like have a smaller model than everyone else, even just to like have Yatsuhashi be a bigger model, but just work off the fact that Neo is the smallest.
Before they introduced Neo in RWBY Chibi, I honestly thought the way they were going to do it is similar to like in Haruhi-chan,
Alright.
where basically Neo's so small she just sits on Roman's head.
That was probably like the biggest joke that I wanted that sadly didn't get used, but I do like what they got Neo, especially with the speech impediment thing.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of other stuff, I don't know, because we got a lot of stuff that I did expect, like half the fourth wall breaks, all the shipping stuff, the self-referential stuff with the shadow puppets, and the flipping stuff with Sam Island, the voice. That was brilliant.
I mean, I tend to love the ones which looked back at events that had already happened and made fun of them.
Yeah.
Like the one where we see Team Juniper preparing for that dance.
Yes. I loved Red in that bit. That was awesome.
I love that. I kind of wanted more stuff like that. More ones which are making fun of events from the main volumes.
It really makes me interested to how they'll handle things in Volume 2. Are they going to build on any of the things from Volume 3?
But there is one idea for a RWBY Chibi short which I'm certain someone must have done as like a comic strip at some point.
Well, they did bring in some comic strip ideas.
Yeah. But I want to know, what was Yang doing while she was flying upwards in the food fight?
That could be good. She could end up hitting a satellite. Oh, there goes HBO again.
I just imagine it the case of Yang gets catapulted into the sky, and she's flying upwards, and she suddenly realizes that she's going so high that she's getting bored.
No.
So she just like pulls out a book and starts reading.
How about one where it builds on another fan idea of, do you remember Birdie No?
Oh, yeah.
I want that to happen, but I want the bird to be Crow. Now that you've said that, there is one idea that I want to have for a RWBY Chibi skit. I want to see where Jean got that dress. I want to see if he either pinched it from someone, he actually went out and looked at different kinds of dresses.
It goes from Jean saying, if you don't have a date, I'll wear a dress, and it suddenly realizes like, oh nuts, that means I have to buy a dress. So it goes to all these different shops.
Yeah, or maybe even build something on some of those fan arts of like Jean getting dressed up in girls' outfits because of all of his sisters, which is some of the best fan art I've seen.
Yeah, that could work.
But yeah, I think that's the one skit I would like to see.
Yeah, but I mean, I just want to see Yang, doing loads of random stuff while she's flying upwards, like reading a book, playing games, doing a painting. I just imagine like it just cuts to with a full easel and everything, just doing a painting. It's like you have no idea where she got these things from, but because it's RWBY Chibi, they can get away with it.
Have a drink of strawberry sunrise.
But it just they could do so many things with that, of just Yang flying upwards and getting so bored that she's doing all these different things, because she is up there for quite some time.
Oh yeah, they even referenced it in the death battle.
Yeah. So I just feel like that's such good possibility for a short.
Yeah, I'd definitely be up for that. We'll see if it happens in Volume 2.
Yeah, but I mean, one other thing that I would love them to do, I doubt they would, but I would honestly love it, mainly as an extra for the main volume releases, is doing chibi abridged versions of each volume.
Oh God.
So basically, extended episodes of RWBY Chibi, where they basically go over the events of each volume, and just
it would be like an abridged series.
Yeah. I just feel like that would be so good to see.
Again, I really hope that they do stuff with Volume 3, because that's just going to be interesting just on the tonal shift.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to hit us in the Fields box again.
Oh God. But yeah, I think that's everything that I can really think of related to RWBY. Like I said, I still absolutely adore the series. It's definitely gotten a lot better over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I love this series to death. I thought, when I first heard about Rooster Teeth doing an anime, I call it an anime as well. When I first heard about it, I thought, oh, this would be fun, because I like the humor of this. I didn't expect that I would be so attached to the characters, so attached to the story. This show has made me cry more than I can think of some other shows, and I love it to death, and I'm so thankful to be a part of the fandom as I am, and to be watching all of it.
Because I can still remember when I first saw the red trailer, because it's like I'd been watching RWBY for years, and then so get to the end of Volume 10, and then there's the red trailer, and my mind was blown.
I got recommended it because of another friend of mine who likes Rooster Teeth. And they mentioned this, and I was like, this is really awesome. And then I saw Monty Ohm, and I was like, I recognize that name. Dead Fantasy. And from that moment on, I was hooked, and then here I am now.
So what made me laugh is just about Monty and RWBY is the case of when they started using his animations in RWBY, I didn't know he was working for them. So when it finally happened, I went, wow, these scenes are very Monty Ohm-esque.
he had that style.
Yep. And then I found out that it was him, and I went, oh my God, he works for Rooster Teeth now. Match made in heaven.
Yeah, it definitely was, and I'm so glad it made RWBY.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, it's like even though we've been tearing Volume 1 apart,
we love this show. I mean, Volume 1 with all its faults, it still won me over. It still won me over in the characters, the action, the drama, even the bad bits, because I thought I want to be putting through everything that goes on because I love these characters.
Yeah, and it's like like I said, at a few points during Volume 1, I was contemplating dropping it. But I didn't. I stuck with it because I just believed like there was something. And I got that payoff. That's why I stuck with it, because I did finally get that the payoff I was expecting.
And I know some people who haven't stuck with it, and that's fair to them, because obviously different strokes for different folks. Everything's not going to be for everything. And the fact that I continue to review the show, the fact that I continue to critique the show, is because not only do I see greatness in it, I know that I've seen greatness already. And I wanted to continue to be great because I wanted to entertain so many more people like me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we just wanted to keep getting better and better and better.
And we're glad that we did.
Yeah. So I think that's everything we'll be talking about this time.
We've been going for a while.
Yeah, we've been talking for just over 2 hours 40 minutes. God,
it's almost as long as one of Arnold's episode live streams.
God.
Shout out to you, Arnold, you're boss man.
And thanks for giving me graphics work. But yeah, so that's everything. So even though this is going up on your channel most likely, Karto, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say?
Well,
probably on your own channel, but still.
Hey, it works. But yeah, if you haven't seen my stuff, I do episodic reviews, I do reactions now, I also do news updates, any kind of stuff related to RWBY. I'm also doing Kaito chats now, which is going to be my discussion area, and I'm also working on a big anime project that should be coming out within a couple of weeks or so. Also,
very interesting.
Yeah, I hope that's going to be good. Otherwise, follow me through my channel there, but also follow me on Twitter at ThatKaitoDan, where I post anything in terms of RWBY news, anything like fan art as well, or just updates from yours truly.
All right. And if you have enjoyed this huge rant I've somehow been on, and would at all be interested in seeing more, please do consider supporting me on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Karto. As you know, I really do want to try and make more of these, as well as improve my own graphics work, but I can't do that without a little bit of help.
Please support this guy. He is a top guy. He does some amazing stuff, and he deserves a lot more credit.
Yeah, because really, I just want to get a better computer so I can work more on video editing.
You me both. Again, I'm working on die-in tech here.
Yeah, but if other than that, you can also check me out on. If you do actually like my graphics work, you can find some to buy on my Redbubble store. I'll definitely try to put a link in for that. You can also find me on mainly on Twitter at Karto1989, because that's basically where I do all my posting and chatting and stuff like that. But yeah, so this has been Karto1989. Massive thanks to you, Dan, for joining me for this.
Thank you for having me on board, mate.
Yeah, I know we've been trying to do it for a little while.
It kind of hurts when I'm all the way over here in Spain.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's been Karto1989. Thank you for joining me. So RWBY Volume 1, I hope you can do better. Even though I love you still.
Yeah.
Later.